Phocuswright is a market research company. We're focused on the intersection of digital and travel. So our market sizing research and our consumer data are the industry standard for global trends around the world. We also produce events, and our events are the largest gathering of online travel and digital CEOs, executives, and startups in the industry. So Phocuswright Europe is coming up in a couple of months in Amsterdam, May 16th through 18th. So that's the next place that you'll be able to see us after ITB. So Phocuswright's been researching the vacation rental category for 10 years. And when we started researching this category, it was very fragmented. There was not a lot of technology, and it was a very difficult and challenging marketplace. So as we looked at the category, we coined the term alternative accommodation or alternative lodging, because that's really what it was. It was an alternative to hotel accommodations. But as HomeAway came onto the scene and really started aggregating a lot of listing sites, and as Airbnb therefore came and created a peer-to-peer marketplace, the category really was redefined. So no longer alternative accommodations, because it had truly become a category of its own. So we now use the term private accommodation to refer to vacation rentals, as well as shared spaces, homestays, and other types of accommodations that fit within the category. As the category stands now, 1 in 10 people in the US market in 2007 had stayed in a alternative accommodation. We've tripled that, which is pretty astonishing. In the last 5 years, we've gone from 1 in 10 to 33% of people in the US market have now stayed in private accommodations. Half of them are 35 and under. Half of them search for this inventory on their mobile devices. So it's really become a rapidly evolved marketplace, driven very much by originally Airbnb or HomeAway consolidating some of the market, and Airbnb really reinventing the market. So we've looked at some trends that are shaping the industry and really helped us evolve from that stage of fragmentation to a little more consolidation and bringing us the marketplace that there is today. The first one is marketplace aggregation and the shopping. So HomeAway really, before HomeAway in 2005 was founded, we had a marketplace of property management companies that had been established and really needed to connect directly with consumers in order to drive demand. There were also listing sites back then, but they were all separate listing sites, so no consolidated platform. So HomeAway took the approach of consolidating all of those listing sites, and 3 things that HomeAway really did was bring them all onto one platform. They created this rental by owner marketplace, which really we see a lot of today, individual homeowners renting their units through different distribution channels. And then the marketing power of HomeAway really brought the category up to a certain level, and then Airbnb really helped to facilitate the climb to where we're at today. The second trend is booking. So HomeAway's model was connect the renter with the host and take a step back. So this was the early transactional model. As Airbnb came onto the scene, they realized that in order to create trust within their community, this instant bookability was essential, and transparency of validation of the traveler as well as the host through a review mechanism, as well as through validation of phone numbers and email addresses. But it's really that ability to transact online, just like you can do so for hotels. Supply transformation. So back in the, 10 to beyond years ago, this was your vacation rental. It was a beach destination. It was a mountain destination. It was, a second home that was rented for the purpose of leisure travel. This is what a lot of the market looks like today. And it was driven by, Airbnb coming onto the scene and creating this urban rental. We'll talk a little bit about some challenges that are arising because of this really shift in supply from very much a vacation rental centric lodging to very much a lot of inventory coming from urban centers. Mainstreaming. So this category has really become mainstream. As I said, in the US market, over a third of travelers stayed in a private accommodation last year. And it really is starting to look very much like a hotel transaction. So here's Booking.com, who, as they reported their last earnings, their supply of vacation rentals went from about 290,000 units up to 570,000. So they're really starting to scale, and it looks very much like a hotel. You can book it instantly online, and that's really starting to drive the marketplace ahead. And the last trend that we've seen that's really driven this marketplace is the traveler transformation. So as you think about the traveler, who's your renter now? And we've tracked this through a number of surveys that we've fielded, and we've asked them about why they're choosing to rent, and also to try to quantify what's the overlap between a renter and a hotel booker, and how much of that revenue is potentially at risk from the hotel category that's maybe shifting over to the renter. So this is a picture of what 2012 looked like. So we had a quarter of the marketplace that was renting units for 3 nights or less. So most of your rent was 5 to 7 night stays. As we jumped to a survey in 2015, we're now at 38% that are booking for less than 3 nights. So you're starting to see a little bit of overlap from a traditional hotel booking. Percentage of rental stays in urban destinations. So clearly, as you think about hotels, obviously urban destinations is a lot of where the supply is. So we nearly tripled that particular renter that's went from 13% in urban to now 34%. And this slide really helps solidify that overlap between the rental marketplace and the hotel marketplace. So back in 2012, 12% of the market had booked within a month of travel. The hotel category, as you would expect, 62%, so nearly 2/3 of the bookings are within a month of travel. So the rental marketplace is very, very quickly catching up to the hotel marketplace. So we're nearly, just 10 percentage points behind when it comes to those rental bookings that are within a month of travel. So what is the implication for hotels? Hotels have done really well over the last couple of years. So they've certainly, continued to be profitable and drive demand, but we're certainly starting to see some of a competitive overlap between the vacation rental traveler and the hotel traveler. So here's a look at the rental traveler who considered a hotel for their last rental stay. So this is pretty astonishing data that we see a jump from 35% to 77%. So there's a lot of consideration going on of both types of accommodations. And here's really where the numbers should start to frighten hoteliers a little bit. That of this $29 billion in rental revenue in the US market and 126 million unit nights, urban stays of 3 nights or less are 14%. percentage of rental unit nights are 9%, and the percentage of rental revenue is 5%. So we're really starting to see that there's that potential impact on the hotel community. And as we ask travelers about how they consider the private accommodation category compared to hotels, we found some very interesting things. So as you look at the different quadrants of this slide, the renters put the vacation rental category between upscale and luxury as far as differentiation of experience. So clearly they're rating it very, very high as far as differentiation. From a price point, they're rating it between kind of that upscale and budget, so a little bit lower end on the price scale. And as far as cleanliness and comfort, which is maybe a category that as you think about vacation rentals and especially the rental by owner market, you would think that this category would be very low, but they actually rated it between upscale and luxury as far as cleanliness of lodging. So clearly there's an overlap again between the renter and the hotel guest. And you know, Airbnb has had obviously a lot of media and has really done a lot for the market, but it's certainly not just about Airbnb. So as you think about the supply of Airbnb as well as the demand, you're looking at many of the urban center destinations. But as you start to look at more of your leisure travel, vacation, holiday destinations, you look at the supply and it flips to more HomeAway, VRBO type supply. So you know, that really paints the scene of what that marketplace looks like. So I'd like to introduce my panelist here on stage, and we'll discuss some of these topics, as well as we'll bring the conversation a little bit more European-centric so we can talk about some of the issues within the European market. So I'd first like to introduce Marcello Mastioni from HomeAway.
Hello.
James Burrows, Chief Operating Officer of Rentals United. James. And Bernd, the Managing Director of Novasol. Sorry if I butchered your name, Bernd.
I love it.
All right, so I just finished presenting some of the trends that we've seen develop over the last 5 to 10 years, and I'd love to hear from each of your perspective. What are the biggest trends that are impacting your business and that are kind of shaping where we're at today, as well as where we'll be at in the next maybe 3 to 5 years? Marcello, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, absolutely. As you were saying, one of the key trends for us is the fact that the category has been moving from a niche to a mainstream accommodation solution for millions and millions of people. And we at HomeAway have been doing a tremendous effort to meet the new expectations of our travelers, including online bookability. Today at HomeAway you find 2 million unique places to stay. More than 1 million of these 2 million places to stay are instantly bookable. This might surprise you, but it's a huge change versus only a couple of years ago. Another key area that we have actively addressed is the area of trust, which is a big theme, a big topic, which historically was a little bit of a differentiating element between booking a hotel, which is fundamentally a public company, and staying at a vacation rental with an individual owner whom you really do not know personally. And also in this area, the industry and HomeAway have created really strong solutions. Today we offer a program which we call Book with Confidence Guarantee. As long as your transaction is on HomeAway, we have your back in full. Whatever happens, the property is misrepresented, you cannot access it, we find a solution for you. So this is the trend, is about matching the fact that the category has been going mainstream with solutions that meet customer expectations, and I have mentioned online bookability and trust and safety solutions as 2 key examples.
So is the pure listing business going away? Is it all about online booking?
Actually, as a company, we believe in choice for our consumers. Historically, HomeAway really has been known to be a fantastic partner for our property owners. We will keep offering the listing product, so we'll still be able to buy an annual subscription and list your property on HomeAway. But with this listing product, new things are now coming, including online bookability.
Great, so James, you come at it from a little bit of a different perspective. So you're playing this middle ground of connecting supply through distribution channels. So what do you see as far as trends in online bookability as being an important part of the strategy?
I mean, I think that Marcello is right. There's a big movement in properties becoming instantly bookable. But going back to what you first said about a highly fragmented market, it's still there. You can look at property managers throughout Southern Europe, in France, and even in Germany. There might be a movement towards automation and being online, but still there's a huge percentage of property managers that haven't moved there yet. And we think that because of people like HomeAway and Booking.com and Airbnb and this big drive towards being instantly bookable, that if these guys are not going to be online and instantly bookable, then they might not be dead this year, but in a few years' time, things are going to change dramatically for them.
So Bernd, from your perspective, recently acquired Wimdu as a little bit of a diversification from the historical business. Can you talk a little bit about, first off, that integration or keeping those businesses separate, as you said, and also how is online impacting the more traditional business that you run?
Yeah, well, I must say that we always have worked for many, many years also in the traditional business with the internet and then in this huge development of revolutionary e-commerce way to do it. But we are in Novasol a traditional rental company. So now we took over, you can say in a new fashion way, Wimdu, a little bit like Airbnb business in Europe. And we will keep it separate because they are totally separate businesses. But we take learnings out of that because we don't believe the way forward is only some more portals. It's, you can see every week a new portal. And some portals are already dying, we know that. Some new come up and some stay. But the key driver for the future will be in our business, in the rental business, and that is worldwide. The key driver will be service. And the service is not in Silicon Valley and it's not in the air. It's not only vertical, it is down there. And for the next 10 years it will be down there, except in 10 years we sit here again and find ourselves and speak with robots. But there is a work to do in these rentals. It's cleaning. In the hotel it's easy, you have the cleaning ladies, but we need for the future to develop service systems. And all these portals are wonderful and great. I love them. I love you guys.
Thank you.
But,
we love you too.
Are we going to group hug?
But,
shall we?
You cannot handle the service.
So
that is your problem. That is your problem.
So that's a good point. So as HomeAway becomes much more integrated into the Expedia marketplace, how do you manage that service? Because surely Expedia is fairly good at conversion. I mean, that's really, they have a lot of staff that's focused on maximizing conversion. So as you maximize conversion, how do you continue to provide, the service and making sure that your hosts are delivering the proper service to the guests? What are some of the things that you're doing and thinking about?
Right. So in the first place, yes. So we got bought by Expedia at the end of 2015. It's been a fantastic experience for us with Expedia. One area where Expedia has contributed a lot indeed is the area of the customer experience. We have a new leader coming from Expedia who has really made a big difference in our product execution. And I think that the underlying approach is actually common to the approach that you have in technology. So this is an example of a place where the approach towards online and offline is similar. So we use data, we use feedback loops. As an example, which I think is very relevant, we launched a program. We have launched a program since a couple of years about creating explicit feedback loops between our customer service teams and our online operations. So we have a clear point of view on the partners and on how they perform and on the satisfaction of our guests and so on and so forth. By the way, the satisfaction of the guests, yes, you're absolutely right, Bernd, is fundamental. So we do measure, when we measure customer satisfaction, we look at both the satisfaction with the online booking experience and the satisfaction with the stay. We are really about these nice entire properties. We say, just go HomeAway from it all. And we know that, so we measure explicitly the stay satisfaction. So we have an explicit focus on the stay, and we know it's very high. We also engage with the partners in a bi-directional conversation, so we don't keep this feedback only for us, but we have a program, we have a team of key account managers, and they work with the partners to improve, to provide feedback and find solutions that improve both the online conversion as well as the stay satisfaction.
Go ahead, James. And then I've got to. You can comment, and then I'll shift the conversation to loyalty, which I think goes along with service. So, James, go ahead and comment.
For me, I've been in vacation rentals for about 12 years, and the biggest movement I've seen is more about the quality. When we first started, it was hit and miss. People could be arriving in a place in Rome, and the owner would consider that you had to, it's okay for the apartment to be in bad quality, but hey, look, you're in Rome, forget about it, have a cappuccino and relax. Whereas we work really closely with our partners like HomeAway and helping improve the photos, the descriptions, the amenities, and working on the response rates of the hosts back to the guests. So this quality and this service starts from the actual experience of booking online.
So technology solving service is what I hear.
Yeah.
I think Bernd's perspective is a little bit different, but from an OTA business model, they're inherently attracting a very disloyal customer. That's kind of, and that's to some degree, they're capturing a shopper that's coming into the ecosystem. They're very good at acquiring, very good at converting, and doing some things to try to encourage them to come back. Bernd's business is a little different, and service is central to his business. So how do you think, Bernd, about loyalty and where that plays, and how much of your business is repeat guests, and what are you doing to incentivize them to come back?
Yeah, well, if we take Novasol, we have around about 35% of repeaters. But repeaters are not the same repeater rate or the same repeaters as we had it for, let's say, 20 years ago. We're on 48 years now on the market, so we have a little bit of history about it. In old times, the customers went again and again to the same place. Let's say a family, every year they took a place in Italy, or they took a place in Denmark or Germany, the same cottage or the same area. This changed very much. So people today want to see different countries, different areas. They want to know each country, each area in a different way. So sometimes they take an apartment, sometimes they take a house, and so on. So in Wimdu, a little bit like Airbnb, it's very different. It's less because it's very fragmented. It's coming up, it's changing tomorrow, and there is something going on in Berlin. As you know, we have terrible laws in Berlin here. The rental business in cities is under pressure. Or we have something in Paris, terrorist attack, and then everything changed. Suddenly, 20%, 25%. The market is changing and moving very, very much. So it is on the countryside where everything is in peace, and it's different also. But in the cities, it's a very difficult market. We must see that, and it is influenced by many, many factors which we are not in control of. Or I will say we should be more responsible and take control of that, and go on the market and struggle for our goals.
But you think that Airbnb, they're not an OTA, but I think they might be gravitating towards this type of model. And I was in the Open in LA in November, and I was speaking to someone who had flown over from New Zealand literally just for 2 days to be at that Open. Now, I mean, they have this incredible community that is really loyal, and it's about the experience, it's about being part of a group of very like-minded people. And I don't think that many of the OTAs have that kind of collectivism or loyalty amongst their user base.
Maybe at a more fundamental level, when you talk about loyalty, when you think about one of the key opportunities that we have in the category is about bringing in new people who have not yet tried a vacation rental. So you showed before data from the US, I believe, showing that 1/3 of travelers in the US had stayed in a vacation rental, but you still have 2/3 who have not yet stayed in a vacation rental. And so, addressing now your point about loyalty, the experience shows that when a traveler stays at a HomeAway property, they indicate in our surveys a willingness to repeat at an 80% level. So 80% or more of those who stay at a HomeAway property, they want to do it again because the experience is so compelling. So there is a fundamental level. So you may think about loyalty in different ways, but at a fundamental level, yes, the value proposition of companies such as HomeAway is disruptive because for half the price of a hotel room, you have twice as much space, you have all your privacy, you have all your amenities, you have a private swimming pool. So you try it, and you want to do it again, which is what we know.
So, Bernd, you mentioned regulation a little, and I don't want to spend too much time on this topic because it's not the most sexy topic, but as you look at Uber and Airbnb, they're right in the crosshairs of this confrontation with legislation, and it can't be sustainable because it's just, they're both driving this community towards the cities, and there's a lot of conflict. So where do we go from here? Is it about a community discussion? Is it about trying to guide and make smart laws?
Well, we have to influence the laws, or the parliaments, the politicians, the authorities everywhere in the world. And I must say that Airbnb do some good works in the world, but giving, for example, Berlin, we don't see them in Berlin. They fly away. They are away. They are not here. They are not struggling for the house owners because there's danger in Berlin. It's really danger in Berlin if you rent out an apartment. They have a kind of, what you say, Stasi organization. I cannot translate that to you, but in Berlin, it's really danger. You get really under pressure in Berlin, and we don't see Airbnb in Berlin. It's Wim Du who's really struggling here, just for an example. And in some other cities, I must say that I also don't understand Airbnb if they accept some laws, which they come in some governments, come with some propositions, and they sign it for our business. I think that is nonsense. They have not the right to do that, and it's no law at all. So we have to influence it. And if you ask me, I think it is very, very necessary that Airbnb go back to their own roots, building up a kind of social responsibility and a social mission, not money. It's a social mission. It's a dimension, a new dimension to develop this rental business, what we have now in the cities and everywhere in the world. It is a kind of emancipation movement. I will describe it like that. And that we have to learn. Instead of speaking about, the rents going up because we rent out, we take some space out of the market, which is nonsense. Berlin is the best example. Actually, Berlin is now going this year down, not more expanding like before. In the last 10 years, now it's only 2.5% growing the business. They are now on the way down in Berlin. And that has something to do because they stopped the rental business, or they try to stop it. They cannot stop it.
Right, there's still 11,000 Airbnb units on the market in Berlin. So clearly there's either something illegal going on, or it's just difficult to enforce. How much of your business is city business here in Europe versus kind of more of your vacation style.
Yeah, we're more about vacation destinations, really, beach, city, and so on and so forth. But in general, vacation rentals bring a clear value to travelers. Again, they can have bigger places, more amenities, more privacy, spending less than at a hotel. They bring value to local communities. Think about the local shops or those places where people do their groceries when they stay at a local destination. They're also less concentrated than the typical mainstream accommodation solution. So when there is a big event in a small town in Germany, hotels run out immediately, and so vacation rentals provide with an opportunity to sustain that as well. So the benefits are very strong for everybody, for travelers, for the local communities, for the property owners, of course, who may have additional income generated from these activities. So we are in favor of reasonable solutions. Vacation rentals, in many places, have been around for 50 years now. It's not a new product. HomeAway doesn't do the shared accommodation product. It's entire properties only. I am positive that in most places, again, there will be a scenario where there are reasonable solutions in place that we will also support as a company.
So I want to shift the discussion a little bit to distribution and marketing, and I'm sure, James, you have some opinions on how to effectively market to this new rental traveler that is becoming younger, is a little more tech savvy. So what are some of the things that you're thinking about and that you would recommend from a marketing perspective?
I mean, for us, what we've seen is a big emergence of service companies growing up in the sector. I mean, we've done a survey of around 800 property managers at the moment, and we've identified 160 companies in 28 different categories, all focusing on anything from revenue management to keyless entries to check-in, check-outs, all these kind of services that either on the experience of the customer and then to the helping the actual management of the properties. And for me, this is going to be the next movement, offering hotel-type concierge services, and that's how I see the marketing being done, trying to offer an alternative to a hotel, but still the services that come with it.
So sticking on that hotel topic, so we've seen Accor invest in One Fine Stay and the Oasis collection. So are they trying to embrace a trend as a diversification, or, you know, what should other hoteliers be thinking about as far as how they're positioned against the category? Maybe Marcello, you have some opinions on this?
Yeah, I think that, again, my key point would be about the very strong value proposition of vacation rentals. Okay, and so if I am a hotelier, I would thinking about matching this value proposition in some ways. I think that what we see at the moment in the industry, I would probably qualify this, from my point of view, as experimentation. I think there is a lot of room for innovation. We, by the way, as HomeAway, would welcome having apart hotels type of properties on our sites. Actually, recently, thanks to the integration of Expedia, we onboarded as many as 800,000 additional units of this type of inventory. So I think this is a possible direction in the future.
Bernd, how about you? From a hospitality perspective, can the private accommodation category offer that same type of experience as a hotel? And how, specifically, how are you doing that at Novasol?
They cannot, and they can much more, I will say. The vacation rentals, basically the rental model means holiday do-it-yourself. You rent accommodation, and then you run your own holiday. You are responsible for that, and now new technical development helps to go to exercise and to experience your holiday much better than before. That's a helping instrument, you can say. But looking on these hotel businesses, they are now in an alarm situation. They can see that our rental business is expanding everywhere. They want to make some learning, so they buy some small companies. From Wyndham perspective, Wyndham have the hotel business also, but we have seen that already for 10 years ago when Wyndham started. So they build up the rental business and make a lot of experience. And the whole Wyndham group experience rental business going in direction, stay on your place where you are, where we have the rentals, and develop the services. Services means also help the customer to go and advertise and find the way to activities. And that is a little bit like, in combination like hotels in that direction.
So from a listing perspective, so you're already starting to see some independent hotels listing their hotel units on Airbnb. So will HomeAway start listing hotel units on your site?
I think this is a space for experimentation. When you were showing those statistics at the beginning, yes, there are some needs that may start overlapping. You mentioned shorter stays, short booking window, and so on and so forth. So I think, yes, there is room for experimentation. At HomeAway, our core is really about groups and families, those nice, long... Actually, you had a data point about the length of stay. You mentioned that now many stays are at 3 days or less.
3 days or less.
At HomeAway, we still see that the overwhelming majority of our bookings are actually for those 7, 8, 9 days that you have with your family in your summer vacation. So that's our core, that's our focus. But yes, so there are some overlapping needs certainly, and this creates room for experimentation.
Yes, and we do have some data that shows HomeAway's average price is significantly higher than Airbnb and Booking.com and some of the other sites. So clearly, you're attracting a little bit different type of renter.
Yeah, we are groups and families as who choose a vacation rental as their preferred accommodation for their big holiday, beach, mountain, sea, and so on and so forth.
But exactly, it's a different type of product. They make more bookings in locations outside of urban destinations than they do inside. Our bookings from Booking.com and Airbnb, that they're mostly, from your stats, within the 30 days of arrival and their minimum three nights. That kind of booking, and it generates volume.
So James, from a distribution perspective, are you trying to create a product, distributing the product to really match what's going on in the hotel landscape, just to kind of make it as simple as possible to book it?
I think that from our perspective, property managers want to come online and they want to press a button and they want to be distributed everywhere. And it just doesn't work out that way, especially when you start working with some of the hotel booking sites, because their platform is built to really incorporate hotels rather than vacation rental. For us, product could be anything from a hotel to an apart hotel to a vacation rental to a cottage, whatever. For us, is so long as we can distribute it out and HomeAway wants it, then we're happy. I think it's up to them to bundle it together and find the right client to book it.
So, as we think about some of the technology strategies, so you mentioned technology is starting to allow you to provide different types of services. So what are some of those trends that you're seeing to really allow this vacation renter to really experience some of that service through being addressed through technology?
Yeah, sure. So I mentioned before that at HomeAway we focused a lot on the stay experience of our guests. We even ran some scientific studies on what creates memorable vacations, but if you're interested, I can go back to this in a moment. But as an example of innovation, we introduced actually a few months ago a new product which we call a digital concierge type of product, that fundamentally helps the traveler overcome what we call the dark period between the booking and the stay. This is, you've just hit the booking button and you start wondering, oh, but is my pet allowed at the property? Or you just hit and you wonder, okay, but can I get there if I don't have a four-wheeler and the property is up in the mountains, and so on and so forth. And so this digital concierge product enables the property owner to load a lot of information about the property, about the neighborhood, about the opportunities, the events, the activities, and so on and so forth. And so it creates an experience that stretches much beyond the booking time into the stay. So this is an example of technology facilitating really full guest satisfaction from beyond the booking phase through the stay.
Bernd, from a technology perspective in your business, I'm not going to dig too deep here, but what are you seeing as your kind of taking a little bit more of a traditional business and really starting to leverage some of the technologies that are available today to make that guest experience better? Keyless entry, those types of things.
Well, there's several ways where we develop our business. One is, of course, that our customers and our house owners have more time-saving service issues, getting better to service our customers. And there we work and develop new instruments, new ways to help them. That is one thing. One other thing is that we are working with how can we, the new development of robots, learn something out of that and use it and organize it for the future, because we believe in services on places. We not only on the internet as a portal, but we are also developing businesses. For instance, we're developing, let's say, in the northern countries, houses with indoor swimming pools. Indoor swimming pools, you need a certain service which is very difficult to handle. Also for the house owner, it's not so easy, and for the customer, not at all. So it's difficult to have a swimming pool in each house or a whirlpool in each house, and handle this, because chemics and things like that, and the laws getting harder, stronger every year, especially European Union laws getting hopeless. So it is difficult for house owners. So we have to help them in this way also, and by, of course, new ways how to handle these things. Cleaning, security, be more efficient, and quality in services. This is a development, technology development, which we are looking for. The rest is here, my guys here, the friends, they make it wonderful. And we are following them too.
So James, from a technology perspective, so is it still really challenging to get a lot of that inventory that's out in the market, still very fragmented, through the distribution channels? What are some of the things that you're doing and finding that's making that process a little simpler?
Well, I think that, the main block for us is getting product online. On average, it takes about 3 weeks. On some channels, it can take longer, and we've been trying to work on bringing this space down, because we have full connectivity. We have a two-way connection. We can create listings on the fly in all of these different channels that we're connected to, but still, for me, it takes way too long. So we're trying to work closely with the channels to try and improve the processes, but most of it's more on a legal perspective. Does the property manager work within certain guidelines that the channel wants? Do they run a incorporated business? Can they take payments? Do they work in a certain way that would adhere to the way that the channel wants them to work with? But we just try and work closely with people like HomeAway to make sure that we can try and get these guys online and making bookings as quickly as possible.
Great. I want to shift a little bit to the supply side of the market. So you talked a little bit about the type of supply that you have on your platform. Bernd, you have maybe a slightly different type of supply, certainly through Wimdu. Can you talk a little bit about supply in the market, and is there one model that's going to win in the end, or is there an opportunity for lots of different types of supply?
There are a lot of different types of supply, because if we look on the Novasol business, for instance, all the Novasol properties we have in our portfolio are in exclusivity. That is, only Novasol have the right to rent them out. And if we have a very good connection to these guys, then we say, okay, you must also do it, maybe, and if we agree about the fee. But otherwise, it's only Novasol. And there are certain services and promises to our customers, to our house owners, and then they stay with us. If we go to the Wimdu business, it's totally different. Nothing is in exclusivity. They are today here, they are tomorrow there, and day by tomorrow they are somewhere else. They can. So it's a huge competition on the market, and we must develop this business model also, because the demand is very different from house owner or host to host. Some have an apartment in Berlin and they want only rent it out in their own holiday because they are on Bali something and they give it 3 weeks to Wimdu. Some other have invested in a house, in a holiday home or in a farmhouse, and they won't really make money out of it. So they have a total different demand, and they won't really invest something in it. So they belong more to the Novasol business. And the lady who want to rent out only for holiday, of course, Wimdu is perfect for them. So it is a different, it's a very fragmented market, will stay also as a fragmented market in this way too for the future.
The barriers for entry now because of technology it makes it so much easier for a small business to actually make and run their business and keep making a profit. You know, it's very easy. You can almost get a PMS for free. You can work with someone like us and distribute out onto all the channels. There's no need to have your own website anymore. So the small guys are still going to exist. I mean, I read that there's around 40,000 property managers in the UK alone, let alone what's going on in the rest of the world. So, you know, it's very fragmented. Yes, there are companies buying up these property managers like Vacasa and Vacation Rental Pro in the US and Novasol over here. But I think still that there's a space for these small guys.
I agree with the comments from Bernd and James. On top of this, I think there is an underlying trend of increasing quality in the industry, as we were also discussing. So the expectations of travelers are increasing. And so what we see is an increasing trend in terms of professionalization in the supply base. At HomeAway, as an example, we balance actually inventory for rent by owners with professionally managed inventory. And so we see that the professionally managed inventory is performing very well because people more and more appreciate services, the quality, the ability to check in, check out at any time, and so on and so forth. So quality and professionalization will be two elements that I would highlight as trends in the industry.
So Airbnb and certainly Wimdu as well has kind of created a new type of supply on the market. So would you consider, certainly Wimdu is a friend of yours, but would you consider Airbnb a friend or a foe? And have they provided opportunity, or is it a threat? Like where do they fit in your world?
I think the story that you came up with at the beginning is a good story. So there have been multiple players, including us, as the global leader in vacation rentals, contributing to shape this category and bringing it to a place where now it is a mainstream accommodation solution. And I think that others have also played a role. The market is very big. We mentioned the fact that even if participation has been increasing, there are still a lot of people that have not experimented the category yet. And so all in all, we are on a good trend. It's a growing market with millions and millions of families and groups at HomeAway that we take to their dream vacations every month. So the market is big, is growing, and I think is big for everybody, and for HomeAway in particular.
Certainly, James, Airbnb is probably a friend of yours, I would imagine.
Yes, yeah.
And I don't think
everyone's
you pick sides,
everyone's
right?
friends
You
of
don't pick
ours.
sides.
Everyone's a friend of us.
Right.
I think when you start to look at the supply, I mean, they say there's around 10 million units in the world at the moment, and you know, Airbnb have around 1.5 million. HomeAway have just over 1 million, and I think that with our clients, on average, they're using 10 channels. So there's such a big crossover, and they're all going for the same people. So we're just at the tip of the iceberg at the moment. There are plenty of supply out there that are just not really using anything. They're either so local that they don't need to have channels. I think this is going to change. This is going to see the movement of people realizing that they can no longer expect an 80% occupancy without doing anything. They need to work with the channels now.
So shifting gears to the renter. So what sort of trends are you seeing as our data shows? You know, and maybe the profile on your site is different, but we're seeing a lot of younger renters enter the category, learn about the category, demanding more, you know, mobile optimized properties to view. What sort of trends are you seeing on the traveler side, and what are you doing to attract them?
So on the renter side, you're asking, right?
On the renter side,
yeah,
correct.
that's right. So in the first place, a comment on the demographics of our renters. At HomeAway, we are not in the shared accommodation business. We're about entire properties. And so the demographics that we have are different than the demographics of those who offer shared solutions. So we see the younger demographic engaging much more on the traveler side. Actually, the younger demographic is growing much faster than the average demographic on the traveler side, which is great news, which means that we have more and more cohorts getting into the category and getting familiar with HomeAway. And having experiences that they like and so that will lead them to repeat. On the just building on some of the comments also from Bernd and James, on the renter side, right? The approach that we see coming up is about winning together by focusing on solutions that work for the traveler. So I mentioned our feedback programs, our conversion improvement programs, and this is the future. So we've made a huge investment at HomeAway in creating a toolkit for the owners, for the renters, so that they can understand what drives their performance, they can understand what is it they have to improve. They can get already today coaching sessions from our HomeAway account managers, walking them through all these opportunities. They have systems and tools. So this is the I think is the direction. It's about helping. It's about not leaving the renters alone in figuring out how they can succeed. It's about partnering with them and offering them specific solutions, typically based on technology.
Bernd, how about you? As far as your traveler profile, has that shifted in the last 5 years, or
yes.
And what are you doing differently to acquire those customers?
Yeah, well, it's the demographic is changing, and our customers are changing. We see two tendencies for the market, let's say, over the last 10 years. One is you see more and more groups. Groups of friends coming together, because more and more you have this singleization of the society. Still people is socials. Still people won't go together with other people. Not more as a family, but also as a group of friends. And we see huge demand from other continents coming to Europe, especially to Europe, as groups, and rent not and don't go in a hotel, but go and rent a property in a city or on the beach or somewhere else as groups, which we had not before so many. And then we have another very funny trend, and that is it's grandma and grandfather inviting the children and with their children together, new forms of families. And one other trend is that because we get so mobile in the society that many parts of the family now is in another different country or different town. So once a year they come together, the whole family come together and meet, not more at home, but they meet in a holiday home. So that is quite new development. So we need big houses, not small houses. Then we need big houses, huge houses, sometimes castles. We rent out castles to families, come together from different countries in Europe and stay once a year together in one castle, 1 week. One fantastic product development. And we look and search and develop these products for these kind of big houses, for groups, houses, and even castles. I mean whole castles, not only rooms in the castle.
So as we kind of start to wrap up the session, I just wanted to get some perspective on areas where the vacation rental industry needs to improve. And then we'll talk a little bit about things that the hotels can learn from the vacation rental industry. So maybe, Marcello, start with you. What are some of the things that the vacation rental industry needs to do to improve?
I would highlight an upside opportunity that I see in the category that builds on the fact that HomeAway and our companies offer so many really unique places to stay. Again, we have more than 2 million of them, but the key point is that the product is so unique, it's so original, it's so specific, it's so uncommon, it's so surprising at times. And so focusing on content, to me, comes across as a very natural opportunity for the category. How can you really help people discover the magic of all the properties, in this case of HomeAway, through an enhanced content experience, which is more sophisticated, is deeper, is more colorful than the experience currently offered by OTAs on hotels.
Bernd, how about you? Areas that the industry needs to improve?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest danger for the development of our rental business is the discrimination and regulations against our business. In country for country, it's terrible. It's every country, it's every city, in each country different. And today they do like that. Tomorrow they do different things. No investors really know where they are tomorrow, where they are today. This is a big danger, and the whole industry, Phocuswright also, I think, have to join there. We have to join and stay together and work against this discrimination, and not, run away and go in the air or under the table. We have to fight this. We have to stay for that, and I will invite all of you tomorrow. The European Holiday Home Association have a meeting tomorrow at 2:30 here on the ITB, where also German politicians come. Join that, look on that, learn from that, and support the guys who are struggling against this terrible development in our business.
James, how about you? What are some of the areas where the industry needs to improve?
I mean, I agree with Bernd, but it's not just about discrimination, it's inconsistency. So you have one city having one rule and the next having a different rule, and they're not learning how really to improve things. I live in Barcelona, and they have a legal permit business, and there's 9,000 properties, and the industry is incredible. Why then outlaw it in Berlin when they can see that there's a major city in Europe that's probably very similar in terms of demographic of people going there? Why can't they just copy and try and find the right model, rather than just saying, look, you just can't do it?
So, real quick, 30 seconds or less, what will your business look like in 5 years?
In 5 years, you will have this bot called Marcello, maybe, depending on the progress that I make at HomeAway. And you will ask him, hey, I want to have the vacation of my dreams. And which one of the 2 million HomeAway properties will you recommend? That's how I think the future will look like.
James, how about you? What will the future of your business look like in 5 years?
I mean, for us, I think we're going to be a bit of a contradiction. I think that on one hand, we're not going to change much, and on the other, we're going to change a huge amount in terms of product range, in terms of different services that are connecting to us. But fundamentally, for us, it's just about syndication and distribution of data.
Bernd?
Well, I believe in five years, you ask?
5 years.
Let's say 5 years. Novasol will be 100%, no, already in 3 years, Novasol will be 100% bigger. Novasol will be global, not only European, and Wimdu will be 500% bigger, in only 3 years.
So I'd like to thank the panel, and if anyone's interested in any of the trends that I presented at the beginning, you can come to our website, stop by our booth, which is in 7.1C, and thanks again to the panel.
Thank you, Pete.
Thanks.
Thanks.